I talked to some of my clients like, hey, before my harvest, like, hey, what do you need? My harvest is coming. I need to know what you want me to process. Do you have anything? They were like waiting and waiting and waiting. And now they're like asking me
Yeah.
to process for them. And I'm like, hey, I don't have any more coffee. I'm already
Congratulations.
like, it's done. I mean, thank you. But at the same time, I feel like I understand them too. Like,
Yeah.
they were waiting for what their clients needed. I don't know what they were waiting for.
Prices to
But
go down. That's what they were waiting for.
yes, that's what I
That's not
think
going
they
to
were
happen.
waiting, but it didn't. And now we have no coffee.
This episode is proudly brought to you by Mapper Forward's workshop, It's Time to Become a Coffee Consultant. Learn how to diversify your revenue streams and create freedom from your day job while saying goodbye to that alarm clock forever by becoming a consultant within the coffee industry or directly to consumers who have shifted towards home brewing and home roasting. Protect your income from challenging times in the coffee value chain by taking this course today. Go to mapperforward.coffee/workshops or click the link in the show notes for details.
Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. I'm your host, Lee Safar, and this is episode 2 of a 5-part series with Ana from Cafe Primitivo in Colombia, in Quindio, Colombia. Before we start this episode, there is somebody I would like to thank. I think both of us would like to thank.
Yes.
Shout out to Angel.
Yes, Angel is amazing. I always say his heart is just
absolutely,
and he's great connecting people.
So how this happened was a couple of days ago, I said to Angel, listen, I want to talk to a coffee producer about what's going on in the market. The market had hit 320, and I said to him, I want to have someone on the podcast who can talk to me about, and he said immediately, I know exactly who the right person is. And I'm like, are you sure? And he went, I'm telling you, I know exactly who the right person is. He introduced us, and you are the perfect person to talk about this. So shout out to Angel. I say one of the great gifts that 2024 gave me is Angel.
For me too, like 100%.
So shout out to Felipe, who introduced me to Angel. So, this is one of the beautiful things in coffee is when you meet good people introduce you to other good people. And we sort of like learn from each other and we figure things out together. So I'm very grateful that this podcast is a place that we can introduce people in the coffee world to fabulous people. So it's really a pleasure for me to have met you and to have you on this podcast. I'm excited about the further generations that are going to be in coffee, because before what happened with this market, a lot of the talk in coffee was the next generations don't want to be in coffee. They have no reason to be in coffee. And then the last couple of weeks happened. And and the interesting thing was coffee producers who had called me and said to me, Lee, you have to help me find buyers for my farms. The same people are ringing me up saying, Lee, you have to help me figure out how we take the best path forward with building the strategy from here. So I'm very excited, and this is when I got the hope. On the other side of that, we have a big cleansing that's going to happen throughout the supply chain. And we can talk about that later, but I want to ask you, Ana, how is this current market volatility? And to be clear, the market volatility that we're talking about is, yes, in the C market. The market is just going up and up and up and up and up. That's one form of market volatility. But in Quindio, there's another kind of market volatility that's happening, which is not everybody has coffee.
Mm-hmm. You're right.
So let's talk about all of this market volatility in Quindio. Help us understand that.
Okay. Well, here in Quindio, our harvest is ending. Most of the farms already finished the harvest. Most of the people already sold all of the coffee.
To the
not
to
a
the
bad
commercial
thing.
market?
To the commercial market. Yes, I'm talking commercial market. I mean, and the ones that are like us in specialty already have some, we had
Contracts.
our contracts already set. Um, I talked to some of my clients like, hey, before my harvest, like, hey, what do you need? My harvest is coming. I need to know what you want me to process. Do you have anything? They were like waiting and waiting and waiting. And now they're like asking me
Yeah.
to process for them. And I'm like, hey, I don't have any more coffee. I'm already
Congratulations.
like, it's done. I mean, thank you. But at the same time, I feel like I understand them too. Like,
yeah.
they were waiting for what their clients needed. I don't know what they were waiting for.
Prices to go down.
Coffee,
That's what they were waiting for.
yes, that's what I think they were waiting. But it didn't. And now we have no coffee. The copies are already at the importer's warehouse or at the exporters here with the people that took advantage in the right time, right? But here in Quindio, most of the producers are medium or small farms owned. And most of the people or most of the producers do not have that information to understand how the market works. And we don't have like some of the tools to protect from price drops or to
like
take
hedging.
advantage of this,
right.
Like hedging, exactly. Or like taking future contracts. In Colombia, we had a very big problem a few years ago with future contracts. The producers had these tools with cooperatives or with big drying mills, but they did a lot of contracts, future contracts, and most of them, after the price went up, they didn't pay they didn't give the coffee, which was horrible. And I mean, these are a lot of farmers that do not have the.
They defaulted on the contract, you mean?
They defaulted. Yes.
So,
that was a few years, like 2 years ago.
Let's just stop there for a second to help people understand this concept of defaulting.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of that going on right now. And this is a part of the volatility that a lot of people don't understand is a major I don't even know what the word it's a variable that people, if they're not considering the fact that a producer could default, they may be sitting in false sense of safety. So the idea of defaulting, what that means, folks, is that let's say you tell a coffee producer that you're going to buy. Let's say a coffee producer has 2 containers worth of coffee. If they have 2 containers worth of coffee and you decide you want one of those containers and they have another container left, the price that you've decided that you'll buy it for, the price goes up. Somebody else comes in and says, I will take both your containers for a higher price. Now, you haven't paid for your container, and this other person hasn't paid for the 2 containers. And then a third person comes along and says, I'll take the 2 containers for even more than what you were promised before. What's happening right now, and I know this for a fact, is that coffee producers, not all coffee producers, some coffee producers, are selling their crops many times over. And the person who pays first is the person who gets it. And they're defaulting on all the other contracts. The other way to look at it as what's happening is, if you have made the agreement, you've signed the contracts, and you think that you're getting coffee, they're just turning around and saying, no, you can't have it. We don't have it anymore. And they're going to sit back and wait until they get an offer that's crazy compared to what you were going to get for it. And you don't have any coffee. That's what defaulting is. And if you think that you're okay because a coffee producer told you that you could have a coffee, nothing's okay until you've paid for it. And even if you have paid for it, you better damn check that you're getting receipt of that coffee, because if you didn't build a relationship with that producer and they have no reason to honor that contract other than you think you have a contract, I'd suspect that you might be in for some trouble.
Yes. And we got to understand, most of these producers are not big, at least here in Colombia. Like, no, there's not many producers that can give you a full container. These are like contracts of like 1,000 kilos, or, you know, with 1 ton, 2 tons, and for a year. But hundreds and thousands of these for the cooperatives. And these people say, okay, I had my contract on, I don't know, here we speak in Spain, the Colombian pesos, but at least 20, 30, 100% more when you see all these prices rise. And they're like, I've been losing money for like
30 years.
So many years. And I'm going to just lose all this money again just because I signed the contract. And they don't understand the importance and of the contracts they signed. And that was a huge problem a few years ago. And this is another moment where all these companies are like, hey, we're not doing future contracts. We're not doing this with the farmers because we already have this experience, and we're not going to repeat it. And it's millions of dollars that were lost here in Colombia because of that. So that's one big issue for farmers, especially here in Quindio in Colombia. It was the whole country that suffered with these future contracts in the past. So
well, and it's going to get very interesting to see what's happening now, because I know that it's happening I know it's happening in Quindio. I know it's happening not only in Colombia but all over the world. Coffee producers have been ripped off for a very long time. Arguably, some people would say, no, they've been paid. Bullshit. They haven't been paid a fair price. And this is their time to recoup a lot of their losses from the last couple of decades. And so what's the vibe like in Quindio for those who have coffee at least?
Most of the people are just not selling. They're like, it's our time to not to sell our coffee. We want to see where the market's going. I feel like some are going crazy with the money. Like they'll see people that will not reinvest. We'll see farmers that will just do not. But this is the time for us to pay debt. This is not like we're gonna get a lot of money. That's not reality. That's the reality.
You're not buying Ferraris off this.
No, I mean, I have the same machines my grandfather had for like 50 years.
Yeah, wow.
Like today, before we started our call, I had a call from the farm like, hey, the machine is not working anymore. Like, it's not working. Like, half of your crop is going to the back because you have to change it. But every like, it's so expensive.
Yeah.
But this is the first time that I say, okay, I think I can buy a new machine.
Yeah. Wow.
We need to recuperate. Our infrastructure is so old. We have so many debts. There is a lot of I'm gonna say it. There's a lot of I don't know, danger where the farms are. People are robbing the farms. Cartels are starting to call the producers like, hey, you now are getting money and we know. And there is a lot of things going on at the same time.
I've heard a lot of that happening as well.
So it's not like producers now are in like rich. No, that's not true. We got to recuperate from a lot of stuff, from a lot of years of difficult times that we have. I feel like we are resilient and we have had to be strong. Not me, only 5 years, right? 6 years. But my grandfather, my mom, my great grandpa, especially like they had such a hard time.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, like it's something that we needed to happen, right?
And we're going to talk about a new awakening for coffee producers in the next episode. Tell me more about what's happening in Quindio for coffee producers who don't have coffee.
Well,
this must be a really, really hard moment for them.
It's a hard moment.
Help people understand why they don't have coffee.
Because the harvest is done. Okay, for producers, most of the producers, like I'm one of them, we need money every week to survive. Like, if you're a small farmer, you need money to go and buy at the supermarket, to buy your meat, or to do groceries. You need every week to sell your small amount of coffee. If you're a medium farmer, if you have to pay people, you need money every week to pay people. And as I said, it's more than 60% of the cost. And so we are attached to this cycle where we are not able to just harvest and keep our coffee. We need to go out and sell it every week. That was something and that's one of the reasons why I went from 15% to 20% through the first 5 years, because I was in that cycle. Like, I needed the money to survive. Yeah. Yes, in specialty. I needed the money. That's why most of the coffee was like going through this other way, because the cooperatives will pay you right away. Like, if you can take up 1 kilo, you can take 12 kilos, you can take 1 ton, and they will pay right away the money. So it's a survival way of doing it. So we saw that the market was starting to elevate, and but we still needed a lot of amount of money. And in harvest is when you need the most amount of money, because you have more people working at the farm. And so most of the people sold the coffee right when the coffee was dried up. Like, you just finish it and go take it to the cooperative.
Oh no.
So now they don't have any coffee left, and they already sold it. Not at bad prices, but it wasn't $3.30.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's on top of 3 years of La Nina, a year of drought, and now the beginning of another La Nina. And there are some coffee producers who through the drought, their coffee didn't survive. Right?
Yes, that's another horrible thing there. I mean, part of climate change. And in Quindio especially, we had 3 years of constant rains. Like, there was no dry season that we need for the coffee trees to flourish. And in Quindio especially, we had our crops, or our yield was only 60. It went down to 60%. Like, it was.
Wow.
We lost the 60% of our harvest because of the constant rains. Yeah. La Nina. And then now we said we're gonna experiment dry seasons, no rain, which is worse. At least with when you don't have flourish but you have water, the tree will have some harvest. But when it's only dry season, it will be just bad coffee. The cherries will not get pulled, and it's much worse for our crops. So that's another thing that's hitting us very bad, is of course climate change.
And this is where I want to shout out to Angela Barrero. You know, Angela was really great. She's in Quindio as well. You know, she's been using biochar. She's been helping farmers around her with these amendments that have really helped them survive, so that they did have some harvest. But that's unfortunately not the case for a lot of producers who did suffer and didn't have the full harvest that they usually have. So they couldn't take advantage of what's happening with the prices right now, which is a big reason why what's happening with the prices right now is happening. Because in Brazil and in Colombia and in Vietnam, the top 3 producing countries have had horrible droughts this year, and the harvest has not been great. So this is really hard. Like, it's complex and it's complicated because, yes, it's amazing that we've got great prices, but it's devastating that not all coffee producers got to take advantage of what is happening right now. And,
Yes,
and they've gone out of business. Go ahead.
No, I was saying most of the producers are like older producers that are have learned to produce coffee for volume, not for quality. So full exposure, sun exposure, not taking care of their soil, just doing it I'm not gonna say the wrong way. Like anybody, like each person can do their business how they want. But that's something that helped us too. Like since 2019, since we started like taking the administration of the farms, I was like, we need to take care of our planet. And the first years were difficult. Like I was one of the farms that lost 40% of the harvest the last years. But this year, after 5 years of planting trees, of like, no, I'm not
regenerative
organic,
practices,
but I'm doing regenerative practices. Exactly. Now I've seen it. Like this is the first year that I see. Like in the 6 years I've never seen a harvest like this year, and I'm very happy and thankful to the people that helped me, that have kind of guided me to try to take care of everything we do. Like not only economically, but we need to take care of our planet and of our environment, of our soil. 100%. I see it now, and of our community relationships. And at the end, that's what brings let us be sustainable in time, right?
And that's why I'm excited about your generation being the leaders of the future in coffee producing. So join us for the next episode, folks. We're going to talk about a new awakening for coffee producers. And this is where I think Gen Z are really changing the game. We have market conditions transitioning at a time where they are starting to inherit farms. And I think this is really exciting. So join us for the next episode. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode, friends. Please don't forget to show us some love by subscribing, liking, commenting, and most of all, sharing this podcast with your friends. Check the show notes for links, including our sponsors and our Patreon. And stay tuned for more great conversations on the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward.